Once again, you are listening to Lehigh Insider with me, your host, Bonor Ayambem. And today I am joined by Lehigh University's Chief of Police, Jason Schiffer. We talked about many things because Jason Schiffer has done quite a lot of things, and I even learned a couple new ones today. But we talk about his job policing and about policing in general. We also talk about his law career and his time as an attorney. We talk about his family. We talk about his hobbies. We learn a lot about Jason Schiffer today, and I think it's a really great episode that you are going to enjoy. And so stick around. As always, you'll hear from me again at the end of this episode. And here's Jason Schiffer. Welcome to the show, Officer Schiffer.
Thank you.
I've heard nothing but great things, and you also have one of the most extensive portfolios I've ever seen, so there's a lot for us to talk about today, and I'm very excited. I'm going to start with your computer science degree from UPitt. You hated computer science.
I wouldn't. Well, and I have to correct you. I did not obtain a degree.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's a lot. There's a lot of layers here. I was there for 3 years. I can't say that I hated it. I didn't see myself doing it for the rest of my life. And that's a big difference.
But you had a job, like as a computer
I did.
guy.
Yeah. I was kind of undecided between mechanical engineering and computer science when I went to Pitt. And I chose computer science my first year. And, as time went on, I kind of thought I should have gone to mechanical engineering.
Do you feel like some of your time was wasted?
No, I don't feel that at all. I think the experience, what I learned both in and out of the classroom has helped me throughout my life. So, not all learning takes place in the classroom in your major classes. I ended up getting a job during what would have been the summer between my junior and senior year. And that job was really in line with what I thought I wanted to do. And it was a little bit of a combination of engineering and computer science. And there was an opportunity there to perhaps further my education and maybe even go for an engineering degree while I worked.
But you didn't take the opportunity?
I didn't.
Why not?
Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait in August of 1990. So this would have been the summer of 1990 is when I got that job.
Yeah.
And I quit and enlisted in the Marine Corps.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Same
that.
Same reaction my mother gave.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Why? Oh my God.
An equation with a lot of variables. I think I was always a studier of history, throughout grade school. And then some of my experiences in college, some of the people that I met, I became really aware of the inequities in our country with, boiling it down to, rich kids went to college, poor kids go to war. And I met an individual while I was at Pitt who was at Pitt himself during the Vietnam War when there was a draft. And he really provided some insight into what that was like. Those who were getting failing grades that had a low draft number, knowing that they would be, drafted if they fell out or dropped out of school or failed out of school. And, there was just a lot of thoughts that how wrong I think that is. And I had a best friend growing up, and he and I had always kind of talked about that if a situation presented itself and we were of age and able, we would drop what we were doing and enlist. And we did. Yeah.
Because of the inequities?
Well, just because of the feeling to serve and not be excluded because of our station in life.
How was your time there?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
Life-changing. Life-changing.
What was awesome about it?
Well, maybe it wasn't awesome. No, I should say I loved it, and it brought out in me things I didn't know existed. It taught me more about myself, what I'm capable of. And I think it was an experience to really, I think, to teach all of us that were there, that we're capable of so much more than we think we're capable of doing, physically, mentally. And I think there's a level of indoctrination in the Marine Corps. I remember reading while I was there, that the real purpose of boot camp was to cause that Marine to stand and fight when every inborn instinct tells him to run. And I think that's pretty deep. But I mean, it just tries to instill in someone that they're capable of more than they think. And being part of something that's always obviously much bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, self-sacrifice drilled into everyone there.
Do you tell people about your time in the, I feel like I would have heard about this. No. I had no idea.
No, no. I wasn't in very long. I was in less than a year. I was injured during training. I didn't do anything heroic. I was nothing in the whole scheme of things. I know it changed how I viewed myself and how the trajectory of my life, but it's really nothing to talk about. I don't know.
Is it after that you went into criminal justice?
I returned home. I guess right around 92. I went back to my old job. They hired me back, which was pretty cool. And so I was working in computers, and that now post-Marine experience had a different feel. And I think I wanted to experience that sense of belonging to something that's greater than myself, that I'm contributing.
Yeah.
And again, another decision that I'm not sure made sense, but I decided to explore police work. So yeah, I started in the Bethlehem Police Department in February of '94, and then I went to DeSales. It was called Allentown College at the time, but DeSales University for criminal justice, because up until that time I had studied, computers, right? Yeah, I didn't know much about people.
Yeah.
So I went to DeSales and got a degree in criminal justice.
How was getting that second degree, now after spending some time away from school and entering into a completely different field?
It was amazing. And again, I think the experiences that I had up until that point really changed me. I was a different student. I had graduated with high honors, where previously I really struggled in school. But I had motivation. I had a sense of purpose. I was more of an adult, hopefully a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
So it was a much, much better experience. The experience in the undergrad for criminal justice really prompted a passion in higher learning that I didn't know I had. And again, in one of my interesting linear type of decisions, I decided to go to law school, believing it would open more doors than anything else. Like maybe I felt like if I obtained a master's degree in criminal justice, that would have maybe shoehorned my opportunities a little bit more. So I thought law school would be door opening.
How was law school?
That was so cool. I loved law school so much.
It wasn't hard?
Oh, it was brutal. Absolutely brutal. I was working full time. I had been promoted to sergeant in Bethlehem. Yeah. And I was fortunate that I had an assignment that they wanted me to work day shift Monday through Friday, which is really rare in police work. And I would drive to Philadelphia. I lived about 20 miles north of Bethlehem at the time. So I'd go into work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Bethlehem, and then change around. I'd get a sledgehammer, which was a 20-ounce coffee with 3 shots of espresso from Mocha Mike's at the Westgate Mall. And then I would drive to Philly, and classes start at 6:30, I think, 6 or 6:30 at night, go to 10:45 at night. And then I would drive home. I'd get home right around midnight, and then I'd study till like 2:30 in the morning, get up at 5:30, and then do it again.
You say that was fun for you?
Well, I loved the vigorous debate, the back and forth, the depth of study at law school, constitutional law, like reading, constitutional opinions and then debating, that level. I loved that. I didn't, the back and forth. I could have done without that.
So you have been, I feel like, going back and forth and simultaneously working with law and policing, right?
Yeah.
What is it that keeps you in these two fields of work? How are they similar? How are they different, law and policing?
They're intertwined so much. I've been asked a lot of times, why did you go back into policing after you have your law degree? Like, isn't that a waste? People have asked me. Mm-hmm. And my reply has always been, I use that law degree, I think, every day that I work here. The experience, the knowledge, I think importantly, the way to be able to see multiple sides of any issue. To be a good attorney, you must be able to see your opponent's side as well as you see your own. So that's a skill, I think, that carries through every element of life, and especially in law enforcement, to be able to see all other sides of any issue and appreciate other sides as well. Maybe recognize that what you think isn't always right.
What was the process like for you to become the chief of police?
Well, I was practicing law. I was working as a trial attorney. I was getting my hair cut on the south side of Bethlehem. And I was told that the current chief of police was retiring.
Who told you? Your barber?
Yeah. It was actually a salon, but maybe I shouldn't reveal. So it was the owner. He says to me, he's like, did you hear that the chief is retiring? And then he like hits me in the shoulder. He's like, that would be a good job for you. And I remember just kind of sitting there like, huh, maybe that would be. I think it's obvious that there was something going on internally.
Yeah.
I loved a lot of the work that I did as an attorney, and I didn't love some of the other work that I did as an attorney. So, I mean, like everything, all of our jobs are going to have pluses and minuses. I missed the community. I missed that interaction with a community. I don't know how else to say it. Representing a single client is awesome. And if you can achieve a desired result for a client as an attorney, it's incredible. It's a great sense of satisfaction. And there's something really special about being an individual who has the right to represent someone else before a court of law. Like, you have that admission to stand before the court and speak for someone else. There's an incredible amount of, it's scary, but there's an incredible amount of power that goes along with that. Not that I'm like a power hungry type of person, but it sends chills up my spine when I think about some of the cases, some of the things I had the opportunity to do. But I feel like that experience, I'm just kind of thinking back, I'm thinking that experience maybe couldn't come often enough. And the thought of coming to a real community at the university was attractive. Like, maybe I can actually make some difference for the lives of more people.
How close are you with the other police officers?
It's interesting. I think we have a good relationship, but there's definitely a different feeling than being the chief of police from a department in which I served for 20 years. Totally different relationship when you spend a career and then are now the chief, or when you come in as the chief. It's a different dynamic. I think it could be, it cuts both ways. It could be good or bad. There's no history. They don't know who you are, where you're coming from, what are you capable of.
You think you had to prove yourself?
Yeah, sure. And I think, there was, I don't want to say disbelief, but sometimes I think early on I would ask people what they think. Like, what do you think we should do in this situation? What's going on? What do you think? And many times that response was like, well, whatever you think. And I'm like, no, I want to know what you think. You know, you have knowledge and experience here.
Yeah.
What do you think? I really want to know. And I think that took some time in getting used to.
Getting used to not asking that question, or for them responding to that
understand
question?
that I actually wanted to know what they thought.
Yeah.
You know?
Why do you think is that what the culture is like with the chief of police? Like, if they ask you what to do, they just ask you back?
I think a police department is a paramilitary structured organization, very regimented, officer, sergeant, lieutenant, all the way up a chain of command. There's a lot of, sometimes what the officer thinks isn't considered at all in an organization like that. So, I think it's very much that type of a cultural environment that it's not often that the chief wants to know what you think.
I know it's very important for you to have that community and relationship with students, but do you think your title as chief of police ever interferes with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I understand that, there's a lot of people that have a visceral reaction to anyone who has the title police. And, that's, it's a little bit heartbreaking that that's the reality that we're in. I struggle with that at times. I think because of the role that I hold, people assume things about me and other people that have the job of policing, that may not be true.
Did you also have some of those assumptions before you became a police officer?
About police?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Right? I'm human. I mean, if I see a police officer in my rearview mirror, I probably have the same feelings as everybody else does.
Yeah.
Like, what does this guy want?
Yeah. How did you get past that to then become that thing?
A series of unfortunate decisions. No, in all seriousness, though, I don't know. I do know when I went to, what was it, my 10-year high school reunion was telling. I had been an officer for about 3 years at that time, and I couldn't count how many people said the sentence to me. They're like, wait, you're a cop? So I don't know what that says about me, but there was something from their impression of who I was, especially in high school, that surprised them that I went into law enforcement. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a good thing.
Are you ever purposely trying to break those stereotypes or prove people wrong?
I think so. I think it's my job to try to be human. And if I have an opportunity to, be open and vulnerable, and that makes anybody feel like, all right, well, maybe all police aren't whatever they think they are. I don't know.
We've talked a bit about how people perceive police officers, it's not a secret. The nature of the relationship between police officers in the U.S. and Black people of color.
Yeah.
How do you think your identity as a white man shows up in your work?
Well, I think it can be a barrier. And I think, like what I spoke about earlier, it can reinforce an assumption that I am someone who I'm not, or I don't believe that I am. But because of my demographics and the job that I hold.
How do you ensure that you remain, let's say, unbiased, and as well as your staff, unbiased, well educated on these issues?
I mean, well, bias is tough. I don't think we can be unbiased. I think we need to educate ourselves and manage our bias and make sure that our biases don't manifest themselves in our actions, especially as the police. if your barista is biased, the impact on you is, minor at best, right? But if the police officer dealing with you is biased, the dangers are immense, so the stakes are so much higher, even if the bias was the same. So it's just much more critical that we, as the police, do what we can to understand that bias is real, and expose ourselves, like we talked about the training, that exposure. What's really cool about this environment is getting to learn from people who are real experts in various fields. So I think it's that helps.
The stereotypes about police officers, do you think they are unfounded?
No, I mean, there's a lot of evidence and a lot of proof of racism and bias that has manifested itself in horrific ways throughout the history of our nation, as it pertains to policing. So, no.
What do you think it is about being a police officer that causes this racism, or do you think it's more people who are already like that are drawn to the position?
Can I offer a third?
Okay. Yes, of course.
Okay. I think that racism is very pervasive within our country. And I have not seen clear evidence that policing is necessarily attracting people that are prone to racism, as much as what I mentioned before, how racism manifests itself at the hands of a police officer is so much more devastating than if it does among others. And the more I've educated myself on the history of racism in our nation, and probably the best source so far that I've had of that was Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi. And like what I thought a very powerful, I'm a lover of history, I'm just a powerful way to tell the story of racism in our country. And when you look at the examples of, something like redlining for real estate, in our cities and towns around the nation, is that any less racist than other acts? They are just not manifested as violence. So could we study, especially in a time where those who were responsible for acts like that, or banking and all types of every aspect of our lives, we have people that have committed racist acts. And, I don't think we could say, well, banking attracted racists, right? So and maybe I need to believe that. I need to believe, and I do believe, that policing can be delivered in an equitable manner. Like, I have to believe that. We can do better. We can learn. We can do a good job at this. I have to believe that. And if we, I can't look at it and say, well, to me, what's the alternative? We can't just give up. I can't give up and just say it's not worth trying, because if it can't be fixed, then why even try? And I can't believe that. I think we can do a lot better than we've done historically. I think we are doing a lot better. And I think that we, maybe we look back in 20 or 30 years and we will be able to see a measurable shift in how policing is delivered in this country, how the services are delivered in this country. I think that.
Let us move on a little bit.
Sure.
You've done so much, and now you're chief of police. You seem pretty comfortable, pretty happy. What do you think might be next for you? What is your guess? Your best guess?
The one thing that I've learned is to never close the door or dismiss an opportunity when it presents itself. I had never imagined to be where I am right now 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and I think at least 5 times throughout my life, I knew what my future was. I was sure of it as I could be sure of anything. And every single time I've been wrong. And it's been great. So I can't answer that other than just like, I love it. I love what I'm doing. The opportunities that Lehigh gives me are just so incredible. The opportunity to interact with students. What I'm doing right here this is the greatest, right?
Yeah.
Having the opportunity to interact with students. I'm now serving as a mentor for the Mountaintop Initiative Creative Inquiry group of students. And to me, that's like really fulfilling. Maybe it's a bonus. Maybe I'm not supposed to be doing it. I don't know. But it's pretty cool.
Very inspiring for people who really want to figure things out so badly at this age that we're in. We're probably going to get it wrong several times.
And it's great.
Yeah.
Why does it need to be scripted? Sometimes the greatest things happen when we just, we keep our eyes and opportunities open, opportunities open. And sometimes you can't be too afraid to jump.
So who are you outside of this role? What are your hobbies? What are you doing at home after work? What are you up to?
Usually driving one child to some type of practice.
What do they do?
Oh, everything. Everything from swimming. I have a 12-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter. My daughter is on the high school soccer team and track team. So she runs track in winter and spring. Mm-hmm. They both swim over the summer. My son was swimming over the winter. He plays lacrosse and soccer. And it goes on. Right.
So you've been a dad for 14 years?
I have.
Tell me something about being a dad.
Probably, I was amazed at how much personality a child comes into this world, or like how much they have coming into this world. Before you're a parent, I guess I didn't have younger sibling. I have an older sister, so I didn't have younger children around when I was growing up. I didn't, like younger cousins or anything like that, or that I was around all that often. So that amazed me, or really amazed me. Like, they have a personality, and they come into this world with so much. Even now, I look at my daughter, and whether it's mannerisms, the way she'll move her eyes, or it's so much about her. It's just like when she was an infant, which is so awesome. And my son, the same way. The way the two of them interact, it's awesome.
Does that take up most of your time outside of your job, being a dad?
Yeah, and then, as it should. I think it's great. I love to mountain bike. So I started racing bikes when I was, I think, 11 years old. I raced BMX bikes all around Eastern, and then I raced mountain bikes in my early 20s, and I became a bicycle police officer in Bethlehem in 1998. And then a certified instructor in 99, a mechanic, I think, in 2001. And I taught local police and got to travel around the country teaching people how to be a police officer on a bike. And then I raced, as an adult, I raced a little bit here and there. And
are you like a professional biker?
No.
Best in the country?
No. I should. That would have been awesome.
You meet with Holly?
Every Monday and Tuesday, we are in meetings together for at least 2 hours, 2.5 hours every week. So, listening to her podcast, which was awesome, just listening to her, I really got a sense when she said she listens to all types of music. So many people say that, and I don't know if they truly mean it or they really do, but I felt her when she said that, and she talked a little about her, the wide variety of music that she listens to, And, I felt heard, when she was talking about that. I remember, like, this goes back a long way, but when we had music on cassette tapes and CDs, and records too. But I had a large collection, and when people would look at my music selection, they would be like, "What?" And when I would say I listened to everything, it was. Certainly not everything. There's endless choices of music. But pretty wide range.
Still?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What do you listen to?
So I really like a lot of different. I like a lot of really. I was really into punk rock, hardcore punk rock.
Schiffer Police.
Yeah, that's why they didn't think I was. Why are you a cop, right?
Yeah.
A lot of early '80s rap music, like Grandmaster Flash. Well, it's funny. Like if I hear something like Enya, it gets me like I can't handle that. The music that's supposed to calm people, I'll listen to some really hard, really hardcore type of music. That calms me down. Yeah, I have the exact opposite reaction. But old school, I don't understand the music. And how old could I possibly sound? But rap music used to tell stories. Grandmaster Flash, LL Cool J, Ice-T.
And now you don't like them?
I can't relate.
Maybe you'll share a playlist with us.
I don't know. I'm too old to have playlists. Come on. But then I'm really a lot of just the classic rock, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC. Early '70s. I had a lot of older neighbors when I was growing up in the '70s that were really into music. The Doors, Queen. I like jazz too. I would study a lot with jazz because again the no lyrics.
Yeah,
I could focus.
Yeah, focus too. Yeah.
Right.
So, Officer Schiffer, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you have any final words for our listeners, for the Lehigh community?
I would say stay safe, look out for one another, and wherever this journey takes you, sometimes, keep your mind open, and it'll be awesome.
Thank you so much for talking to me, and to those listening, I will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to Lehigh Insider. Find us every other week on the Brown and White Spotify. The show is created and edited by me, Bonor Ayambem, and produced by the Brown and White. Music for this show is produced by DJ Zen, and you can find her on Instagram at IamDJZen. And while you're on Insta, follow Lehigh Insider and at LU Brown White. And check us out at thebrownandwhite.com/Lehigh Insider for more information and for extras from our episode. The Instagram is also especially fun, so definitely check that out. And